Okay, so sorry, we're a little late starting this meeting, but I'd like to call this meeting to order. And for anyone at home who wants to participate as an audience of citizens, you can email director@easthaddamlibrarysystem.org. And during the audience of citizens, we will look at the questions and comments and try and address those. So does anyone have any changes or questions or amendments to be made regarding the January 12 minutes?
Make a motion to accept the
There
minutes as
were
written.
a couple of typos.
Oh.
Previously, just
Game to me, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think I fixed it.
No,
I'm sorry.
sorry, so they were submitted
John's
to the
got
town.
copies. I think.
Pardon?
They were submitted to the town with no
Do you
typos.
have a copy?
I
of that?
believe so.
Okay,
I think
Do you have a copy of the minutes or no?
all right then.
I just gave it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from January 12th as written.
Accept, second.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All good, all right. Let's start off with the Finance Committee report. We're in the midst of budget season. It's a little bit of a bumpy road because we have a new finance director. And he's, we're a little bit behind schedule on that. But I just found out that they would like me to go to a budget workshop next Tuesday. So I'll bring to that workshop the things that the Library Finance Committee discussed on Monday. So what we did is on Monday is we went over a draft budget, which is very much a draft. And then brought to Rob's attention by email the line items that we had questions on. There's really only a couple of significant issues. One of them being the town has committed to trying to get the library staff's salaries in line with comparable libraries and also appropriately pay for their experience and the jobs that they do. It's been a little bit difficult because it really is the library director that determines that. The trustees are not librarians. And the staff that's here on a day-to-day basis, they are not privy to each individual's pay scales. So we're going to discuss that further on Tuesday. But the good news is that overall they've committed so far to a 4.8 increase over the previous year.
Total dollars for the budget line.
Yeah.
Total dollars for the budget line, not necessarily 4.8% per person.
Correct, yeah, for wages, the wages line is 4.8% increase. So that's where we're at with that. The other item that came up in discussion was the supplies line that is currently going over budget and expected to go, that line item to go over budget before the end of the year because it's due to an increase in both the number and quality of programs. But that's the library's here for. The Friends have generously offered to offset most of that cost for this year's overage. But we're trying to convince the town to increase that line item. I've made the appeal that it's also our community outreach. That handful, that number on that supply item reflects our programs, and the programs are super important for our community outreach, and especially with the potentially new building going forward, we need all the community engagement that we can get. That line item, oh, there's one more, but I don't.
Furniture was the other line that was running.
Oh, yeah, you're not planning to buy, the furniture line is currently over. But I don't know, I think I talked to Pat, I don't think that line item is likely to go over, at the end of the year, for the year. You don't have any. Yes, let's see, but yeah, we don't know once the fair is gonna fall apart, but. Just so everyone's aware that we can't go buying a ton of furniture between now and the end of this fiscal year. So that was our focus of the finance committee. Did I miss anything?
You mean on the 22-23 budget? Those were,
No, on the, just on both budgets, like what we discussed and what were they, what,
well, on the 23-24, we just went over the different things, and then there were points that were things were omitted on the paperwork we got. There were line items that were blank, if you will. And so we had some questions about that. There were some discrepancies in how they were organized, so that salaries were showing dollar increases and percentage decreases and vice versa.
yeah.
So we raised those, which you obviously have already sent over there. We had that one on the reference librarian line was like that. The library tech line was like that. There was we wondered about the lack of an increase in postage.
Yeah, I think we determined that the postage line had, was, decreased because, we don't send out mailings.
Right, well, what I'm saying is these are the things we
Oh, yeah,
discussed.
yeah.
We raised the fact there was no increase in supplies despite the running late, and then we had questions about the electricity and heat lines. In the material that was presented, and then of course on the shared services line, there were so many pieces missing on it. So
Yeah.
that's what we discussed
Yeah,
on that. And then we also discussed making the budget accessible,
that's the thing, that's.
so that, for instance, our branch manager, when we turned to, until you're coming on board, to handle this, we're not able to access that. And of course, the question becomes, why? Because obviously, there are the people we turn to, so why couldn't they get it, since there's really nothing in the sacrosanct, as far as I know, nothing is classified top secret there. In which case, because then we wouldn't be able to take it home. So that was what we, those were the things we discussed at that meeting, under the old business budget.
And then the only other thing was just, we tried to brainstorm a little bit about what it was that our particular committee needed to share with a new director, like immediately when they came on board. So, one of the things is, you're gonna need, it would be helpful to get you a copy of our trustee manual, probably sooner rather than later, so you have an understanding of what each subcommittee's roles currently are. We don't deal with the day-to-day operating budget. We just, help with the setting the annual budget and trying to address any financial stuff that does come up during the year, so. All right, so anyone have any questions for finance committee? All right. So now we go on to governance.
So we had a special meeting yesterday to discuss, and only to discuss, employees survey for both libraries. And we came up with several questions, about almost 20 of them, that I had kind of written up ahead of time, and we discussed, keeping some, getting rid of some. They have like headers, for instance, workplace culture, questions related to the director, related to the board of trustees, related to a specific job, general opinion, and then a comment section. We figure comment section just at the end instead of after every question. Some places like my employee does like every question. And then it's basically going to be a checkbox: strongly agree, strongly disagree, agree, disagree, neutral. I've got what we came up with from yesterday. Whoever wants to look at it. We want to get the final copies done to be handed out for the first week in June. It is not going to be mandatory for the employees to do it. We recommend that they do it because we want to have their voice be heard. Strictly anonymous. They'll have about 2 weeks because, just like anybody in real life, may go in and have a bad day and not want to do a survey that day. We'll get them at the end of the 2 weeks, and we'll kind of tally up, see where we stand on agree, disagree, and the comments, and see what we need to tweak for the survey for next year. Should be done yearly for both libraries. And like I said, totally anonymous. And this is what we came up with so far. So, and then we meet next month.
There's just not this specifically, but just something to be on everybody's radar is that there are 4 trustees that are going to be up for the election this year. So those 4 should think about if you're running again. And if we're not, we want strong library advocates to be running and sort of keep that on our radar as you're going into election season. I know the primaries come pretty quickly and kind of creep up on you before you think they're there. Mary, you're one of them. Bill, myself, and Janine are the others.
I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were elected together.
Well, it's been fun serving. I've enjoyed the exercise. Oh, I should wait until October to say that. I didn't know. I really didn't know I was done.
All right. So Juliana you're still the chair of governance, or is Chris? Okay, so, yeah, so when Allison hits the ground running March 1st, or even before, I don't know if it's appropriate beforehand to give you a copy of the trustee manual, so you know who we all are. Sure. Chris is the gatekeeper of that now.
Yeah, as long as the town paperwork, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I can do that.
We should, if I may. Maybe this is part of governance, but not only should she get a copy of that manual, but she should get a copy of the budget. If you don't have one, same thing, you can do that tomorrow. Get her a copy of the 22-23 budget. Because you can look at that, it's kind of get an idea of the millions that you're dealing with. We expect much for that kind of money. But I think it would be a good idea, that kind of.
I will, you're doing your sort of onboarding on Friday?
Not tomorrow, but the next Friday.
A week from there. Okay, all right, I'll check and see if Irene, that might have been part of what was gonna come your way then. I will check.
And then I would assume it's already been done, but roster the staff. My name and position. She should have that. So she knows that and shows the managers who who the other people are.
You think you're in school?
Yes, I am well expected that. I expected a little bit more than that, but I don't want to overload them.
Alright, so all right, I know the manual. The budget and staff will be coming from the town, so I'll check on that on Tuesday.
Mhm.
All right.
And if I can, one more, might not be bad, I'll defer to you. You may want to confer with Barlow later on other things you think you might need coming in. Instead of having a old guy like me, who's got short-term memory with you. I didn't even know that. I think it'd be a good idea to sort of what would you like to have so that 2 weeks, 3 weeks. you can Put the ground walking, start running later.
I'll be running.
I think she already has her sneakers on. All right, any questions for governance? All right, so that brings us to program, which is an exciting report today.
A while back, the proposal was brought up that maybe we should entertain having a series of lectures on Alzheimer's and dementia. So I, through Chris's help, contacted the regional director. His name is Christopher Sortwell. And he very kindly gave me 35 different options of lectures that we could choose from. So I went through them and picked out the 9 that seemed most important, salient, and that we could actually work into what our ultimate goal was in order to present this to our community. So I went to the head of executive director of the Historical Society. Her name is Marianne Helpin, and she graciously accepted to have all the lectures take place at her facility and also free of charge. So that was put in place. So then the committee, which is Alice and Chris and Marianne and I met a week and a half ago. And so we filtered through and we went through what we thought would be the most pertinent subjects to address, get the most word out at the shortest amount of time. And so we came up with a bunch of proposals, which I then contacted Christopher, who is the regional director for Eastern Connecticut for the Alzheimer's Association. And we worked through some of what we thought would work, what wouldn't work, and came up with a list of topics. And it's going to be a 4-part series starting on February the 26th, March 26th, April 23rd, and May 21st. So I submitted this to Christopher and said, how does this work for you? Does this look like you can manage this series of topics? Can you get somebody to come in and help us? And he said, sure. And okay, if you want to do it on a Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock at the Historical Society, we can make that work also. So with that being said, I wrote a letter, which I can pass around, to the editor of our local newspaper, because today is the deadline in order to get this into the next publication so that we can have a 2-week notice for the February 26th meeting. And that meeting is going to be the 10 warning signs for Alzheimer's and understanding the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. So my premises when I wrote this was into the world of Alzheimer's. It's a very scary thing for somebody who's just got that diagnosis. And it's it's the quiet world, but it's not the quiet world for everybody that's involved as caregivers, family members, extended. So I can pass this around. I tried to make it appealing as a newspaper article to start out, and I just said, so where are those elusive car keys? And hey, how did I get here? I don't remember going to this place. So that was the starting to try to catch people's eyes. and then wrote the article. So I submitted that to Peter, I think his name is pronounced Martika, last night, and he emailed me right back. And he said, wow, this is so timely, because my mother just got diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, okay, it'll get in the newspaper.
Can you send me that?
Sure, because
Because-
you can have this.
Because what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna send it to my email blast,
Okay,
that I have to help promote things.
Chris, I will, because the bottom part of this did not copy for some reason, so I
Okay.
will get, this is the poster. I worked with Pam at the Historical Society, and we came up with a poster. And I'm going to submit this to Staples and have them do 10 hard copy posters that we can distribute. The Historical Society is going to put it on their website. They're going to put a poster outside, and they're going to advertise it within their own community. I'm planning on having posters made to distribute, like the nursing homes, the senior center, libraries, post office,
Pharmacy.
Yeah,
pharmacy, anywhere. Christopher took it back to me and he said, any chance we'll get 10, 20 people? I said, wait, we might get 50 or 60 people.
yeah, if you get like a PDF, email it to me,
Yes,
and then
I
I'm
do
just
have a
gonna do it.
PDF.
Oh, perfect, then I'll just do an email blast.
Okay,
And then-
Doing that. Vesta,
yep,
Yep,
and see what they have,
yep,
plus the river, put them in there.
Yeah.
Because they have a memory care unit there, but they also have general population, so
Mm,
any of those things are gonna be.
very fortunate thing is that there's no charge for Christopher for doing this. These are pro bono. He would just do all these lectures. And also
But it's because he's the head of what?
with the Alzheimer's outreach and education for
Yeah.
the state of Connecticut.
That's why he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mary Ann Halpin at the Historical Society, she's the executive director, said, you can do them all here with no charge.
That's
Yeah.
very
So-
clever. Yeah.
John hasn't been the meeting yet, I can tell you that the board of trustees of the historical society is only voted to approve this, not without charge or anything.
Yeah.
Mm.
So this is very exciting, and the point that I try to make clear right along is that there is nobody that can say that they weren't in some way touched
mhm,
by
exactly.
this disease or this disease process. And I think the fact that Peter wrote back right away and said, my mother, so I know that he's gonna be interested and go forward
So you
with.
probably have a shot at getting your letter.
I was gonna say, you got a shot getting it in. Yeah,
Yeah, probably a very good shot. Okay, so that's really exciting. I'm really excited to being able to get this off the ground. I think it's really important information. There's so many aspects that we're not able to address because of time constraints, but. And then Christopher wrote today and said, hey, why not do an Alzheimer's walk in the fall? So he said, would you be interested in working with me on that and sponsoring it? And I said, sure. Let's do it. So,
I raised over $2,000 last year doing that walk.
yeah, so I think that would be,
I called her Candy Nero. She was in on that, and she said that Valentine would come, and anyone that would want to bring their mate that has the Alzheimer's, we could have them in a separate area, and Anthony would entertain them.
well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So that is all that. I had two really wonderful experiences. One is to join the Friends of the Rathbone at a meeting last week, and was able to sit in with their schedule of their upcoming programs. And there are 3 upcoming programs, and now there are 8 of them. that are going forward through the end of the year. So I can pass this around if anybody wants to see that also. So thank you. That was a wonderful opportunity to be with the both of you. And it was a very enjoyable evening.
Yes.
And then also meeting Amanda and having her join us at our meeting on Monday and finding out a lot of really exciting things that are happening there. And I congratulated, I know in the period of transition, how important it is to continue some of the programs like Dungeons and Dragons and the chess and all that sort of stuff. The exciting thing that they're doing is they're going to have a Halloween party on Valentine's Day.
saw that online, yeah.
So I think, I think that's really exciting. And I think whatever we can do to get our name out there. Oh, and back to Bill, my planning is that this will be the initial, but every month I will go through and send out an email talking in more detail about each one of these topics coming up. And also excited about the book bag that the Rathbone has done and how successful they were the very first day. So it's been very exciting, a lot of information, and really excited to have all these new possibilities and being able to reach out and to be able to have the communication aspects. Are there any questions? And I know I talk fast, but oh, and then I got also this from Amanda because my computer was not being user friendly. So this is the schedule for February to be able to keep track of all the different programs, which are amazing. I mean, kudos.
Yes,
we do both libraries.
Yeah. Kudos to be able to do all this and to continue all these wonderful programs. And
If I can, the only thing, and this is just that highly personal, I looked at the list of topics, but the one thing that isn't in there that maybe he will cover in some way is how do you as an outsider deal with somebody who has Alzheimer's? I happen to be in a circumstance where it's not in my family, but how do I deal with families and people who have Alzheimer's as an individual?
Well, Bill, part of the program is going to be that you have any questions. You can
Yes.
write, because we're gonna do it for an hour and then
Yeah,
15-minute break.
But I'm just,
And then
I'm being very personal, yeah.
Yes.
You know, how do I, and it happened to be Tuesday,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact. What do you do? Because you know the person is not reacting to you. So what do you do? And of course, the standard line will just proceed like they are.
Yeah, but he will look at the questions that people have,
Thank you.
group them, and then answer the questions in the last 15 minutes.
So like I
And they may
usually do,
actually
won't be
have,
married.
like, one of the things they may actually have in one of the programs that you've got, something similar that we could bring up.
And that is in one of the other programs, like, what do you do when grandpa looks the same, but grandpa is not the same, and how do siblings, how do family members, react to that? One of my thoughts was that I will buy some 3x5 cards and put them all around on the chairs at the meeting and tell people if they have any questions to write them down. Gonna have a break, collect the cards, give them to the presenter, let him filter, because some of them may be too
Exact.
personal,
Or some of them may be
too
duplicate.
too redundant. And have him filter out the ones and then have a question and answer period. So that they can, be their questions specifically that might not go into too much detail. You might be able to be answered or postponed to another time.
Thank you, Mary. I think we're gonna move on with our agenda, but that is great strides with our program committee. I know it's been tough getting quorum for that particular subcommittee. Yes, so it's great. Things are getting some momentum.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Now we're to unfinished business. Okay, new library director selection. Well, what do you know? Well, we have Allison here tonight and looking forward to her being officially on board on March 1st. And we, finance committee report, we discussed the 2023-24 budget. We'll be doing a workshop on Tuesday. So, if anyone has anything particular, specific to be addressed in that workshop, feel free to email me directly. Just so I have everything that I can from everybody going into that. I don't set the budget. I'm there just to answer questions. And I just want to make sure that all the concerns are brought up, because if they don't get brought up, then we're kind of missed our opportunity. Library board, well, it's good to have a library board goals now. We set our the library board of trustees every year, since we don't have a strategic plan in place yet, we at least set our annual goals. And I think I might have messed up here because we were reclaiming some of our previous goals. Are they listed here? Oh, yeah, no, we're good. So one thing has been a goal to keep the need for a new library facility in the forefront of the town as being important. And the library board of trustees should be a leader in the effort of making sure that, we've made huge strides. We're set up in a really good place, and we just need to keep that momentum going. Bill?
Positive letter in the paper today about it.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder if you wrote that under some pen
I
name
did,
or
I
something.
did, I have various names, but I don't remember them all. And yes, but it was a positive letter, not long, but it was positive about meeting on the library. So that's a beginning, totally unsolicited.
All right. So that's our goal that has been carried over since the previous year. So does anyone have anything that they want to discuss about that now? We're sort of in limbo until budget season's over, so we may want to just table that for now and go on to our next goal. So the other goal that was set as a board, there needs to be an ongoing effort to keep the library system and its programs in the public eye. It sort of goes hand in hand with our first goal. It was suggested that the trustees and library staff develop at least one article per month to be published in the East Haddam News. So if the board of trustees can do their part for community outreach and getting the word out. Who was Bill? Who did you assign the homework of?
I think I'm up for.
I don't
February or
think I
March.
did, but since I was the one who suggested, I figured I ought to push the envelope, so I sat down. This is not something to be done yet, because there's some pieces missing in there, like last names and a few other things. However, I was able to knock that off in a relatively short amount of time. And it's just, there you go. There's an article.
Oh, this is your article. Oh.
That's why it's called
It's like
Library
you're like-
Book Club. I haven't got the name on it yet, it's a draft, but my point only is,
Yeah,
that's what you need to do. I mean, I can do other things on this, I will say this now, I was thinking about it driving over. For each of the 3 book clubs, I could put in some of the books recently read, just to kind of get people's whistle wet, kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
The nonfiction book club is doing something secretary, God's secretary, about the writing of the King James Bible. It's tough, but it's really very, when you think about what the intent was there, And I don't know what the one here is. That's the thing, Amanda. I don't know. Lisa, I guess, picks the book.
Yes.
I think. Do I have it?
But my only point is I could put some books in there. There's ways I could expand this, because I can't do anything with this until next week if you said go with it. I'm just saying, here you go. That's, and it ain't long. But I can tell you we'll get in.
I suggest one edit, like you say to call the library, which is fine, but also check the websites, because the books are posted on our website.
I understand. That's why I didn't say it was sent in already.
Okay.
It's designed for people to
It's an
read
easy
and
way for
correct
them
and
to
to
get
hash it. My only point in doing it, since I was the one pushing this, was that I at least then want to get the ball rolling. So it is rolling, maybe wobbling. It may not be a soccer ball,
Also-
it may be a football.
I also think that we should be very interested in what's going on at Two Wrestling Cats. That they're also going to have a talk on the 22nd of February. And Dr. somebody, woman,
Woman, Susan.
yeah, is going to talk about, what do they call
The
it?
archaeology.
Yeah,
archaeological
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be all the tribes that were here and across the United
Yeah,
States.
that's, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
and
don't have.
fantastic. I'm totally interested.
I don't have the list of that with me, but there, that list is out.
Yeah.
There are 4, and the first one, I believe, is in fact about the, Warnock tribes, is that it?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Warnock, and that's one of them, but also don't forget, they're having the archaeologist will be here to speak about the Digit cats.
Yes, that's what I was
Yeah,
talking.
and Eric Besselberg,
Right.
Besselberg talked about the Connecticut River and the.
Right, so there's a number of things coming up, but I, which is great, so keep people up off the streets and out of the bars. Yeah, I know, but with Town Tavern closed, it's one less bar we have, even if they are in fact reopening in East Hampton. They are.
Yeah,
They
it's
are.
been posted on Facebook.
What's the name of it?
It's the, I don't know if it's the old town office, town hall building, right across from the plaza with Dunkin' Donuts
Some McDonald's.
and the McDonald's, that white building right next to the package store, so you can get that either on the way in or.
Well, there's a restaurant that's there too.
Yeah.
But it's the old Governor's, it's old, Phil
The
O'Neill's
old
old
Governor's.
place.
Okay.
Phil O'Neill's old bar.
Yeah, okay.
But anyhow, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on, there's a lot of activities, but I would think, candor, that the one on Alzheimer's is probably gonna be more attended than less attended. I think it is such a pressing problem. And people, how do you deal with it? And so, but look through that. Don't hesitate to, you've already pointed out some good stuff, which I didn't include. Give me stuff, and I can get this to Peter by next Wednesday, if you want me to get it in for the paper the week after that, in 2 weeks, because there's no pressing need for this to be in as such. But I'm trying to just start the ball rolling of keeping the library in people's mind. And I wanted to get it in early as an outgoing trustee. I don't want to have people say, yeah, I'll let your term run out, so you got off doing it.
Well, thank you, Bill. I'll get working on my article. I'm supposed to talk about
All
something.
you need to do.
I'm ready to commit to my next one, so I can go next, because my daughter did finally finish her 500 books, so.
Here,
I'll do my 1,000
just do it.
Yeah.
Who does the next one is irrelevant. The one after that, we just need to make sure that we say to ourselves, I'm gonna do it. And then, it's off on my list,
God bless you.
but that's the point. Say I'll do it, you could do one on, you could do one, Mary, on programming in general, just talking about this and taking a takeoff on that. The old Ed Koch one for governance, how am I doing? I'm a great believer in that. People knew me when I was at Morgan. I love Ed Koch. He used to be the mayor of New York. And he was famous for literally doing that to people in the street. and saying to them, how am I doing? And I believe that when I was principal in Morgan, I used to ask that of the community at least every other year. How am I doing? How are we doing? And you've got to remember, and I say this with a certain amount of pride, I used to say this for 19 years. In the first newsletter I sent home, I put my home phone number. You got a problem? Call me.
Putting your money.
Never got a call. But people do, they could.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Same thing with how am I doing? Isn't it people that just that they know the key?
Yeah.
Well, that's why when they asked, is it mandatory to take the survey? I'm like, no, but you can't come to work and start complaining if you're not gonna. I mean, I shouldn't say you can't do that, but it's just, you know, if we don't know what's wrong,
We can't fix it.
we can't fix it.
As a board, we're opening up for you, and I think you need to look at that too, and you need to tell us what you need to do. But what's that, Alice?
I said, I hate surveys.
And you can't.
Everybody and his brother, you call up and order something on the, well, stay tuned to the survey.
But as Mary knows, and John knows, we put that thing in the paper for the library, new library. We got over 300 responses. Now you say to yourself, that doesn't sound, that's a hell of a return when you're doing a survey.
Yep,
Broadly
exactly.
broadcast. We had over 300 responses from people in East Haddam about the library.
Well, that's certainly something we're sharing with you right off the bat.
I read that online. I was impressed then and I'm impressed now.
Okay.
And it only cost us $600.
Yeah.
So it's something like $600-700, believe it or not, to get that survey placed in every issue of the East Haddam News. And as John will find out, the Historic Society mailed you all an invitation to join. They spent $1,200 to do it. And as I said the other day to them, I got 4. So you spend all that money, $1,200, because you want to make sure you got 4.
Did you join? Did you join?
Once. But I think you need to ask, and I think that's why you do it. You do it there. And I know what you mean by that, but you do it to library patrons. How am I doing?
All right.
You spoke about this, forget it. And email me, because you have my, email me with any suggestions, corrections. To that, please, because I will, if you do that for me, and if there's no objection from the chairs, I will put that in with the corrections and everything. Or by next Wednesday, so that it'll get in Thursday after Ash Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So our last goal is always to become effective trustees. We're becoming members of ACLB. Is that right? Association of Canadian Library Boards. Now that I have a director, I can put on that name, I can put on that form. I'll bring that to the town on Tuesday and see if I can see the best way to get that paid, or member to get paid. So we'll be able to take advantage of those resources. But the other thing that we talked about when we set our goals was to collaborate more, with other library boards. You try and reach out to, not just what's going on here and what's going on, at the state level, but, what's going on around us. And that, that might help us do our job a little better.
If I can,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be going to try to get our memberships all paid for. I can tell you that the new library study committee budget, which was $16,000, still has about $14,000 in it. We didn't spend a lot of money. It's true.
Yeah.
There's $14,000 in that line.
Yeah.
So you might just remind them of the fact that there is some.
Library related funding, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, well, that is,
Well, just so you know, I mean, it is, it's $14,000 sitting there that's allocated for that committee for our work.
Mhm.
That technically should expire technically July, June 30th. And we're not gonna submit any more bills.
All right, that's something to talk about on Tuesday.
Bill's not calling any more meetings.
I'm not calling any more, well, my commission, our commission is done. We were done in November.
No more cookies?
No more cookies.
I'm gonna send them to Claire. Incidentally, every report was taken. Every report that we did 4 dozen.
Something like 4, yeah.
I think we did 4
dozen.
dozen. We thought that was way too many. Well.
Well, maybe some of that money will go towards another printing of the
Oh, we
study.
can do it. I mean, it's on a PDF, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or on.
yeah, all the
or
sections,
Google Drive.
all the sections are PDF.
And did you get a copy? Really? Did you see one?
I read the building report online, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's online.
I don't do online.
I know you don't.
Unless I do it.
Makes it difficult to go like this with the page.
I'm online, that's my online. All right.
All right, so, do we have any new business? Under new business? I'm trying to move on so we get to our audience of citizens. No new business? All right, well then, it's time for audience of citizens. Is someone able to check that email
Can you
address?
check your email?
I had it up during the day, but then I got busy.
Can you go look now?
I can check.
Just to see if,
Just to see if
there's any
the.
public questions or comments.
So. Now, I'm just saying.
So Allison, you're our audience of citizens today. So if there's any, now's a good time, if there's anything specific you wanna ask us or things you want input.
Well, first, apropos of nothing, I'm very impressed that you have the owl. I think the owl is great. How long have you had it?
Oh, a year?
About a year.
It's amazing technology. We've had so many meetings run through that and programs, and we're doing a lot of programs virtually and in person, and the owl has been phenomenal. I will tell you, I am terrible with names, but I'll never forget a face, so I apologize if I ask you a million times, other than Alice, because her name is a lot like mine. No, I'm just so excited to be here, as I said, and I will be asking tons of questions and taking lots of notes. I'm a big note taker. And I'm just excited to be immersed in all things East Haddam.
And perhaps we could get a list of the names of all of the trustees. The names and addresses. I know there's one somewhere online, probably.
It's on the town website.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
Good. I have no idea about that, because I really don't. But you should get a list of that. It has our names, I believe our addresses. Email
That's
access.
online just has our term and our name.
Okay, well, then you can at some point pass it around and we can give you our access. Because I have, just so you know how to get to people, if you need to outside of this photo. We can go through the chair.
Yeah, I can do that because I'll get you the manual, so I can also be the trustee list.
Fantastic.
And our calendar, all the things.
Yeah, I should send you-
Do you have any extra copies of the manuals?
We're supposed to get them. Yeah, I already
I'm
talked
gonna
to
check one
John.
for Alice tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh, we're going, okay.
the free library.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
gonna leave it for a couple minutes, so
Oh, that's good. Thank
I
you.
can
Justin.
print too.
Oh, good. If you would do that, that's fine.
150 pages, like 30.
There's no question.
No question. Too bad.
What I say is we're gonna get a very
I
interesting
wish.
audience of citizens.
Well, first, if you're gonna do a article about the 1,000 books before kindergarten, you should know that we're having a graduation this Saturday. We have our first, I think there's 13 that are gonna have finished, and so we're doing a graduation ceremony. And I was actually going to, well, we're taking some pictures, and I was gonna try to write an article to send to the paper about it being our first year, so I don't know if you.
No, I'm gonna hold off then, because I can hold mine, that's way
Okay.
better.
It's better.
That's way
That sounds
better,
good.
like, I just need to hold mine till
When
this
is
summer
that?
and start talking. about
Saturday.
My daughter.
Saturday
finishes
is
great
the
program or
program.
something.
And it's a year since we started in January, so I wanted to get that out there that we've been doing this for a year.
Not hold mine. I was planning on stopping it before I do it, I'm gonna stop in and talk to you guys. anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll be into move the owl up this week,
Okay.
she's really excited.
So I have another, which I didn't know we had a new director.
Yeah.
So that's kind of taken by surprise here.
Yeah. Move fast, move very fast.
And my question, and now I feel awkward asking this, but it was brought to our attention, the town ordinance about the formation of the library, which I had never read before. Remember, given that when we became part of the town, that I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but anyways, the patron brought it to our attention, and there's some stuff in there that kind of perplexed me and fascinated me. As far as, because we have been asked recently, what's the board, and I think you were too, what's the board responsibilities or mission or duties in relation to the library? And so we're reading this that is in this town ordinance, really surprised me, because it says in here that the responsibility of the board, among other things, you know, is like the trustee principally responsible in consultation with the library director for developing policies and overseeing management of the finances, purchasing, budgeting, accounting, maintenance of the buildings, interior and exterior, contents and grounds, as well as developing job description and evaluating the performance of the director and the staff. And is that, I've never understood.
What is surprising or bothersome to you about that?
Well, evaluating our performance, I've worked here for 22 years, and I've never been evaluated since Kelly left.
Well, that is, something that was supposed to be happening on a regular basis. And these are all things that, you know, the Board of Trustees is an advisory board. And we will advise them more on the system by which these things might take place. You know, we don't step in and, be like, oh, Dana, you're doing a great job, you know, whatever.
I do, yes.
Yeah, because we aren't involved in the daily operations of it, but you know, we're ultimately responsible for seeing that the director is fulfilling their job description. Now that for the first time, it happened a year ago, there is an actual job description for that position. So, you know, and yeah, you know, we work with the town and the director to come up with a budget. And, you know, again, we're advisory, you know, only. What are some of the other things there?
Well, I
Maintenance and.
maintenance, building and the
Building
exterior, the
maintenance,
parking lots. and all
Yeah,
that
things like, if we find out that the parking lot is unsafe,
Mhm.
you know, whether it's through the library staff tells us, a citizen on the street tells us or whatever, then we try and address that issue at our meeting. Who do we contact? Who needs to know about this? How do we solve this problem? You know, we don't go in with the hammer and nails or hire the contractors or any of those things, but we monitor as part of the director's report every month. There's a
We
section.
become the person
facilities.
that nags the person that's
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
do something.
So then
Right.
the director is supposed to be notifying you of issues?
Yes,
With the
yes.
penalty?
Right.
And
Yes.
because many a times we had so many things that just never
Yeah,
got dealt with.
for instance,
and-
at the East Haddam Free Library, there was a problem, a painting
Mhm.
issue, because there apparently had been a water leak and some of near the front entrance by the service desk where the columns are,
Right.
the paint was peeling, and I had brought that to the prior director's
That's-
attention several times and asked for status. and he was going to talk to the town and we never got an answer. So after he left, I dropped a note to Don Angersola, who's the town's facilities person. And once I explained to him that there had been money allocated to paintings like 2 years ago, in 3 days it was fixed. So apparently there were some communications issues, and it's just, you have to be a pest. And so, you know, if I would say in the case of the board, if you go to the director and the director, given a reasonable period of time to get back to you with an answer and you don't get one, then you come to a board member and say, you know, I have this issue and I've questioned it for 3 months and nothing has happened and I'm not getting a status update. Well, we're kind of the next level of people that you can ask about it.
Can I say something about that?
Mhm.
I never knew about a lot of these meetings and that I had that resource.
Mhm.
So whose job is it to let the staff know that these are things? Because I think in what Janet was trying to say, as far as the staff evaluations, how come we never knew to go to you, or you guys said, hey, it's been in her case 20 some odd years. I've been here 6 years, I've never had one. So what is the,
And how about the director? Yeah,
Right.
the evaluation of the director, where does that go?
Yeah, these
I
are,
think that we're a watchdog.
Well, in here it says you have primary responsibility, principal responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think
I mean, I don't mean to put you.
I'm
in-
gonna say, as the chair of the committee, I'm just gonna say a thing. Okay. We're moving forward. We have a new director, we have a proper job description. We know what our responsibilities are. And we're gonna go forward and try and meet our goals and responsibilities. The last thing, and the primary thing that in hearing from everybody in these months, from the town, from the staff, everybody, is communication.
Yes.
We all have to communicate. And the library director is the pivotal point, you know, between, you know, the consortium, the staff, us, and the town. So once we get our lines of communication in place, and it was a key quality of any new director, and we firmly believe that Allison is fully capable of communicating appropriately with everybody. We're just gonna gratefully move forward. I hear over and over again the same ball that's been dropped, or the same issues that's been of concern. And I think they are all going to be addressed by simply having a director in place that understands that. So I don't think we have to go backwards and talk about a lot of things in the past. I think we need to just move forward and be positive. All right, now I'm done. Now I'm done being a dictator. So, okay, so more,
And just on that one thing that governance has done, you know, just to make sure that that communication gap is bridged, is the survey that we were working on, and that will hopefully give that voice. Because there was no survey, and, you know, we may believe different things were happening or heard different things, and
Right.
so that will give the direct voice so that we are hearing directly from you what's happening, and we didn't have that before.
Good. It's been frustrating.
so yeah, I think, I'm looking forward to next board meeting.
Can I just?
Yeah, please.
So I totally understand your frustration. I have come from my last two libraries, highly organized. They've given me so many great ideas and such a model for me to follow going forward. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, because I'm far from it, and I don't expect anybody else to be perfect. But that has been a great learning experience for me that I take with me. I'm a complete open book. I'm firmly in favor of open lines of communication and sharing ideas. And one of the first things that I plan to do on my first few days of the job is to sit down with every single staff member. And I've done this before, and to meet with each person one-on-one, to talk to them, let you tell me about yourself. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I want to hear what your goals are, what your frustrations are, what your dreams are, what your favorite cookie is. And that is extremely important to me, and I think it sets a good foundation. So I hope we can do that. I'm really looking forward to it.
And if I can, the concern that you've expressed relative to having never been assessed. I think it's a great opportunity for the new director to be able to set the tone on that. And because obviously coming from when you come, you bring things with you on how that's done. But I think that's like having been on a board of education doesn't evaluate anyone superintendent of schools. They never do, and they shouldn't. We shouldn't get involved in anything to do with assessing staff or anything else. That's your job. And, so let you work on that, work with the town on what, because we don't have a human resource director in this town.
Yes, we do.
Huh?
We do.
We have a human resource
We
director?
do.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Della.
I'm meeting with somebody next Friday.
Della-
Dawn Stone.
Delacomia or
Is
something.
that right? And that person-
He is the same person that was there, they let go and
Oh,
then.
okay, I didn't know they brought him back.
I didn't either until we got a letter from him.
But anyway, my only point is that's really
Who's on first?
our job as a board, and I'll just use my, most organizations in town have no oversight board.
It's on the
They have
website.
people, they have commissions, but
The ordinance, the town
our
ordinance.
job is to oversee, not to do, right? And to let the director know if there are issues that are brought to our attention. And most of the time, the standard line is, what I was always told is, when he came to me and said, da, 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 I say, talk to the director, I'm trying to pass the buck. But I don't want to get between you and your job.
Yeah, we don't belong,
Especially on that,
we don't belong doing that.
doing what?
So they should change it.
It's the town.
This
ordinance.
This is the ordinance when
No,
they, this was the ordinance they established when the library system became a library system in 2013. This is the ordinance on the town's website. And it lists all this stuff on there.
And it literally does say, evaluating the performance of the library director and staff.
And whether you personally did it or just made sure it was done would have been.
Talk about, we're the umbrella of.
Right, but the way it's worded, it makes it sound like we actually do it,
Yeah.
the way it's worded.
I can only tell you, use my education.
I got my own
hat,
paperwork
put it back
to do
up. Board of Education, all has the superintendent. The superintendent is caused with the responsibility to evaluate. That's the way you set it up. So you're caused with the responsibility for evaluating staff.
I'm gonna give you.
Okay, our job is only if it doesn't get done. And if there was never a vehicle for doing that, is simply to remind you, by the way, have you gotten the staff evaluations done? And
That's what
I
we
can
were
also
saying,
tell
like,
you this.
it says that you guys do that, and then we're going, well, he never came to us, so where was the communication?
Well, that,
And we're not going backwards, we're just saying as a whole,
Yeah.
we didn't know,
Yeah.
that was not known.
Just know that that was not what, this particular board was led to believe, and so, we were working on the same goal from the other directions, and it just didn't happen, but.
It should be brought to the town's attention.
the other
Yes, I think.
Yes.
the other part of that is, you realize that the Board of Education is only responsible for the superintendent.
You gotta pay a lawyer.
Board of Education, in my experience in a lot of school districts, never sees evaluations of people other than the superintendent, or people with the title superintendent. They do not see evaluations of principal, they do not see evaluations of teachers. And technically, according to Cave and the state, more that it's unethical for them to do it.
But
They're
they get,
not- Huh?
they get the phone calls.
They may, I'm just telling you,
Yeah, but
that
they
they
get
are
the phone
not-
calls, they don't know who to call, but they call the
you know,
superintendent.
what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to put Allison in a spot, but I'm simply saying it's her job.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling she knows how to do her job.
Yes. Hired.
And you know what? That's why you're hired.
That's exactly.
And it's not our
It's
job,
all gonna happen. going
other than
forward.
if we were to get a complaint, is to let her know.
Correct.
Period. We do not stick our nose in things generally. I'm not gonna, we shouldn't do it. Because it undermines her. You know, a candor, it undermines her authority and the job she's hired to do. Because if we wanted to be doing that, we should have applied for the job.
Well, I don't think we were saying
No, no.
that you guys
No.
should have been evaluated.
It
Should have been
says
known
it
it
was
wasn't
pastor,
happening.
pastor, so it sounds like you're saying, did you do this? And it wasn't done. And when somebody joins the
We're gonna let
board,
this go.
I
We're
think,
gonna just
you
breathe
know,
through it and let it go.
we, you know,
Yep.
are they
Let it
giving
go.
that form that says with all the responsibilities? I mean, if
There's
not,
a proper job description.
but then I guess.
No, for the
asking
job,
for
for
board,
us, for the
for
board.
board
Our
members.
They get a
responsibilities.
board manual.
We have a board man.
Is it different, it's a,
It is.
It's different than
Different
this.
document.
then somebody needs to, I think, direct the town
Yeah,
to.
I'm gonna, we've gone off on a tangent, you know, it's time to, it's 7:45, and I think it's time to adjourn this meeting.
Shut that thing off. I'm glad there's nobody on, I hope there's nobody on.
we can shut it off.
But that kind of conversation, I'm just trying to say, you know,